Alright, see what we got. Oh, I love Aldi. No. Oh. Ah, right. That. Always knew this was gonna bite me in the ass. Things you do for a second place finish. You know, you'd think with the move that maybe, Satan wouldn't find me. This is why parents say don't make deals with the devil. Hello,
Mr. Commissioner.
Hey, Gertina. It's been a long time. How's things down in hell? Good?
Do you remember our little agreement about your unfortunate luck last season?
Yeah, I recall selling my soul to fix my hacks. I do recall. Yes.
It's time you paid up, Commissioner.
Listen, come on. We can work this out. You don't have to, take me to the distortion world. We can work this out. What if? Hey, the league's doing great.
You can always sacrifice the soul of the newborn.
No, I'm not gonna sacrifice JT's kid for our league. No, I'm not gonna do that. Not yet, anyway. But hear me out. Okay, we got a lot of new players, right? What if we made a second league? Huh? More gaming for you. I know, we have our contract and everything. I think this is mutually beneficial for us both. What do you think about that one?
More gaming?
Mm-hmm.
Make yourself a major league with the old and a minor league with the new.
I guess we could have a major and a minor league. I mean, we don't have Drake in our league, so I'm sure a minor league is fine.
Make it real interesting.
Yeah, sure. We can make it interesting. Yeah, we can.
I want to see Sand Slash. I want Frost Slash back.
Okay.
Do what must be done. I want to see more Pokemon.
Okay.
And that includes Jirachi.
Sure thing. Okay.
It better be good.
Got it.
Or it's your soul, or the whole rest of you.
All right, Garatina, you want DPP for the 5th time? You can get DPP for the 5th time. Somebody there?
Somebody.
Who said that?
Downplay the innocent with me. You've known all along.
Where are you?
Follow the cold shiver running down your spine. I'm right here.
I don't understand.
Did you think it was coincidence? So many good things all happening for you. All for you.
What do you want?
To say what you won't. To do what you can't. To remove those in your way.
The league members? You killed them?
We killed them.
We?
Remember your little accident in the laboratory?
Adam.
Bingo. Me. Your greatest creation. Bringing you what you've always wanted. Power beyond your wildest dreams, and it's only the beginning. There's only one who can stop us.
Nope. No Ironhead flinching this time, baby.
Gamers, it's finally time. We're going back to Sinnoh. It's time to play DPP again. This will be our 5th DPP draft in our league's history. And DPP is my favorite format of all time, and we've all had a lot of fun drafting this format over the years. So very excited because now our league has grown so much to where we have double the player base we had last time we played DPP, and that was only a year and a half ago. So this is going to be a fun ride. So stay tuned. The PR will continue as normal for DPP. Apologies for those who were tuning in for the SAPA PL. I got caught up buying a house and moving, amongst other things. May or may not still be in contact with Garatina about the state of my soul. That will be an ongoing journey, so stay tuned for that as well. But for now, we're gonna do a quick overview of how we're gonna handle this draft. All right, and apologies if you hear my fan going in the background. It is hot as hell in New Jersey, and probably everywhere else too. But for now, we're gonna get into it. So, as always, we do snake drafts, and our roster size will be 11. We have separated the Pokemon by their official Smogon tiers with a couple of variations, which we will go over as we go. So, drafting 3 OU Pokemon, 1 Pokemon in the borderline/OU by technicality section, as well as 3 UUs and 4 NU Pokemon, again, for that grand total of 11. For the sake of draft, we are counting Rotom Appliance as 1 Pokemon, so 5 teams don't have Rotom, which would be a little crazy if you ask me. So we're gonna go over the custom rules real quick. So after playing this draft a lot and definitely feeling the effects of not having all the Pokemon we want, as well as current Smogon tiering drama, which has been well documented across the scene, we've gone ahead and kind of done our own thing. So let's go over our custom rules. Number 1, first and foremost, we decided to ban Latias from this draft. We've done 3 drafts with Latias, and it has proven to be completely overpowered, winning one of the drafts. And, you know, its Draco Meteor is a little too strong, especially when you lack the counterplay. And in standard play, it is a top 3 Pokemon. I would argue it is the best, but that is a conversation for another day. Speaking of top 3 Pokemon that could be argued as the best, we're going to talk about Jirachi. We've decided to do what Smogon will not, and we're going to ban the move Iron Head on Jirachi. Iron Head Jirachi is incredibly strong, sometimes winning games on its own just by pure luck. So we decided that Jirachi is a good enough presence in draft format. Through our previous experience, we've done a draft where we didn't allow it, and it felt like something was missing. So we're going to try it out without Iron Head to see if Jirachi's defensive presence still carries over and is strong in our format. And we've also decided to unban Snowcloak and Sandveil, with the stipulation that if you draft a Pokemon with a permanent weather setting ability, whether that be Sandstream or Snow Warning, you cannot draft any of these Pokemon. All right, so Frostlass is free, Sandslash is free, Glaceon, Cacturne, guys like that. You know, they offer pretty unique niches, Frostlass being a spiker and a ghost type, Sandslash another rapid spinner. You know, so these are Pokemon that offer a lot of utility in draft, and it's going to be fun to be able to use them. So we've also decided that even if you go up against someone, let's say with Tyranitar, who is also legal, he's not mentioned, but it's, you know, implied because he's not here. If you go up against the Tyranitar player and you happen to have a Sandslash, you know, you'll have that cheese ability. So taking a permanent weather setter has its opportunity cost. So just kind of keep that in mind, you know, if you're really gunning for something like Tyranitar or Hippowdon. And then alongside typical rules, just wanted to state that Bright Powder, Quick Claw, and Arena Trap are no good, right? That shit's broken. There's no place for him here. A lot of cheese, trying to limit that as much as possible. We've made some manual tiering changes. Clefable and Raikou have risen up to be considered OU Pokemon. Again, we've done 4 DPP drafts prior to this, and Raikou has been the best Pokemon in like 3 out of 4 of them. So big stupid electric type is very strong in draft, and Raikou is one of the best at it. We've also decided to bring up Milotic, Venusaur, and Uxie up to be considered UUBL. Venusaur and Uxie have been a part of multiple winning teams, whether together or separate. They offer so much utility, and they're really just a step above the other UU Pokemon. So we decided to bring them up just so that we could see some new faces, you know, and try to limit some of those really stacked teams that go for these kind of Pokemon. We also brought up Nidoqueen and Magneton to UU, because again, these are both viable Pokemon in the OU metagame. We decided, you know what, let's bump them up a little bit, you know, give them some love. So to kind of combat some of our rises, we did do a couple of drops. We dropped down Aerodactyl to be considered OU by Tech. In our 4 drafts previous, no one has ever taken Aerodactyl because there are just a ton of better OU Pokemon to take. So dropping Aerodactyl down, you know, hopefully we'll see some usage from it and really see, you know, what else it can do. We've also dropped down Dusknoir to UU, and Ninjask and Dugtrio are dropping to NU, because again, Ninjask cannot Baton Pass, and Dugtrio doesn't have Arena Trap, and he just has Sandville, and he's kind of bad otherwise, so he can hang out down there. So we do have a custom format, so if this is something you want to mimic for your own draft, you can copy this challenge right here. All right, and all of our usual rules are here. But real quick, I just want to highlight our major leagues and minor leagues. We're going to do 2 drafts in 2 different leagues. Again, having 18 players do 1 draft, there are enough Pokemon. And since we have a lot of players who haven't drafted DPP before, we decided we're going to kind of keep them separate. But we are going to have some instances where there will be some interleague play, so to speak, where the major league players will play against minor league players. And then, you know, and of course, talking about free agency, right? It'll be mid-season, right? You drop your Pokemon, it has to fit the proper tier, and there will be trading discussion, very similar to how we've handled it in previous formats. And of course, our playoffs are to be determined, and we will, of course, go over that later. But the last thing I want to talk about with the major leagues and minor leagues, because we play DPP so often, there's a good chance this will not be the last time. So your performance in your league is going to dictate what happens to you in the future. So let's say you win the minor league. You are getting promoted up to be major leaguer. Congratulations. So let's say, hypothetically, the top 3 minor league teams are going to move up to the majors, and the bottom 3 major league teams are going to move down to the minors. That way, you know, we can see some different matchups, you know, and it really kind of rewards. It's like, hey, you know, if you're really, really good, you're dominating the minor league, like let's bump you up, you know, let's see what you got against, you know, a lot of the players who've been playing for a long time and have been doing very well, you know, just to keep it fresh. So that's enough of our quick overview for our rules. Also going to kind of spend today kind of doing a little how to draft this format. So I pulled up my little draft cheat sheet that I've been using for a couple of years now, and I kind of used to help gauge what I want to pick in my draft. So number 1, Firewater Grass Core, super important. It kind of covers everything. That way you have your basic types carried over. You know, you have a good defensive backbone in that regard. And on top of that, adding a steel type is very important, especially in DPP. I'm of the belief if you don't have a good steel type, I do not think your team is good. So it's a very, very important type, and I definitely recommend prioritizing it. And some other types, I always want to consider a grounded poison type. So if your team is all affected by toxic spikes, it feels bad. So having that grounded poison type at least gives you that option to shut them off. Even if you don't bring it, you know, at least having that peace of mind is definitely super nice. Now, talking about electric types and ground types kind of together, we've seen our draft history. The big dumb electric type does very well. Zapdos, Raikou, hell, even Jolteon, they're very strong. And in DPP, this is one of the few times Electivire can do something. And that alone is pretty cool. And a ground type, right? If you don't have a good ground type, you're going to kind of get shredded by that electric type. So at least having that immunity, right? Ground is a good defensive type. Getting that stab earthquake, super nice. And again, kind of complete that triangle here and have a flying type or Pokemon with levitate. You know, something that's immune to spikes, something that's immune to earthquake is really nice to have. And then, you know, I use this for all kinds of drafts. So I also have Fairy Dragon, just more for a modern gen. There aren't really enough dragon types in DPP to where, you know, it's like necessary. It's like you have to have a dragon, right? So kind of jumping past the role section, I'll talk about the other options. I got fighting type, dragon type, and ghost type. Again, really nice to have if you're able to get them, especially a good one that kind of fits and checks multiple boxes. Again, you know, it's like, do you really want to be like, wow, I really need a ghost type, but the best one left is like Shuppet. Like, dang, that sucks. You know, it's like you're better off just not even bothering. But if you're in a position where it's like, hey, I could get, you know, a good ghost type like Spiritomb and Yu, then I definitely recommend picking that up. All right, and then same for dragon, get a good dragon type. You know, again, not everybody's going to have good dragon checks, especially if someone doesn't prioritize a steal, and not having a Draco switch in is not fun, or outrage for that matter. And then a good fighting type, click big buttons, you know, pretty self-explanatory there. And then having a dark type, specifically like stab pursuit, to get rid of like really annoying ghost types and psychic types, which can be very strong in a draft format. And those are just things that I like to look at, especially in DPP. And then looking at roles, I like to have at least 2 stealth rockers. So it gives you some flexibility where it's like, oh, you know, my only stealth rocker is Swampert. I'm kind of forced to run it in that way, you know, and if I don't, then I don't have rocks, and that feels awful. Stealth rock is the best move in the game. You want to fit it on your team. And if you don't fit it, team's not good. So definitely want to make sure you get a rocker. And then having rapid spin or hazard control, and super important. You don't want to be the team that just gets ruined by spikes, T-spikes, rocks every week. So if you don't have that option, like your opponents are going to take advantage of that, and you know you're going to have to suffer those consequences or really adapt accordingly. And some teams are going to struggle to do that. And then in terms of just, you know, basic things you want to have on a team, right? Probably want a good setup sweeper, physical wall, something that can take hits, special wall, same thing. I like to have like a good like volt turn combo. Again, here in DPP, there is no volt switch. It's just U-turn. I can also throw baton pass on there as like a dry pass is an option. So, you know, that can kind of check that box as well. Also look for other hazards, whether that be spikes or T-spikes. And then a phaser, which is a super easy one to fit. A lot of Pokemon learn Roar. Good number of them learn Haze. You know, you're able to really check these boxes. So again, this is kind of what I've used over the years, and I found it's really helpful. It really, you know, clicks all the boxes. And to kind of show off what I'm talking about, I want to show you my one DPP draft team that I had, 3 years ago now. So right here, my OU selection, we got Starmie, Zapdos, and Metagross. These are 3 really good Pokemon that cover each other's weaknesses super well. Right, so it's good. It's like, these are Pokemon I want to bring to every match. And they're all able to do something different, right? Like Starmie can be super offensive, it could be bulky, can spin, could do a lot of things. Same with Zapdos, you could run specs, offensive, defensive, could do a lot. And Metagross is the same thing. It's got Stealth Rock, Lead, Explosion, Agility. Metagross is a very, very versatile Pokemon. And you like to look at versatility in your selections. And then kind of going down the line, Heracross is the borderline. That guy's crazy. Back before we made these adjustments, Venusaur and Uxie were in their original tier, and these guys together, I mean, again, was a big part of why I ended up winning that season. Is, you know, their base stats are just a little bit higher than the other UU Pokemon too, and they offer so much utility. Like Uxie's stats are crazy. You know, it's hard to get it off the field. It could do a lot. Spread, paralysis, U-turn, rocks. You can really do whatever you want with this guy. It's pretty cool. And then kind of coming down the list, right, got Kabutops, another spinner, right? As you kind of notice the trend, like, hey, Uxie can set up the rain for Kabutops. And then you look and it's like, oh, Zapdos is good in the rain. Starmie's good in the rain. Then you have other modes for your team, which can be really fun. And then coming down to the NUs, you got Typhlosion, who is my favorite Pokemon, and that's most of why I picked him here instead of a guy like Magmortar, who's also very good. Gastrodon is the ground type. You always want to pick the blue one because he's better. Gastrodon's really good. He's got Yawn, good utility, especially for an NU pick. Like you could do a lot worse than this guy. And then I got Jumpluff. This guy is, he's a dickhead. He does a lot of annoying stuff, so he's good to have around. And then round it out with Articuno. Since I have Starmie, I have Kabutops, I have ways of getting off Stealth Rock, so I felt comfortable having a couple Mons that are weak to Stealth Rock. Just because they offer something unique in matchups where, hey, Starmie Zap and Meta can't really do it all. Articuno can kind of slide in and be like, oh, hey, now I'm really dominating like Swampert. Like, that's pretty cool. Stuff like that. So, looking at that team we had, right, we're gonna kind of break that down into the chart, right? So, as you can see, as we're kind of looking here, most of these boxes are checked off, right? And a lot of them are checked by like 4 or 5 Pokemon. So that alone gives me that flexibility to be like, hey, I can now go and take other funny guys like Jumpluff, Articuno, right? Like I have this strong team to where I'm able to go get funny guys. I'm able to go and get, other Pokemon to try other things if, the matchup presents that way. You could be flexible, and that's really the name of the game in draft. Like if you go in and draft like a hard weather team, we've seen it a bajillion times and it doesn't work. You're one track, you have one mode, and if your opponent can adapt and beat it, you're kind of screwed. Having an option for like rain is very strong. You don't have to bring it all the time. Every like once in a while, your opponent has to respect it. And that alone makes your team more flexible. You can really go and do a lot of things. So, for the rest of the video today, we're going to go through a little example draft, right? See, kind of see how we go here. Okay, so here's what our little roster looks like, okay? So, each league has 9 players, so you can either have the 1st through 9th pick. All right, let's say for today's example, right, we're gonna take the 5th pick right in the middle, okay? So just for example's sake, we're gonna follow the DPP viability rankings for what Pokemon gets taken, right? That way, it's very likely not gonna be what our draft looks like because all of you are insane, but that's okay. We're gonna have a good time with it. So let's assume Jirachi goes first. No Lottie, then Tyranitar, Clefable, and then Skarmory. Right? So now at this 5th pick, I'm looking at Pokemon like Heatran, Breloom, Gyarados, and Metagross. Alright, or Rotom even coming down here. These are all great picks. Now, if I'm trying to really click off a lot of boxes, right? I'm thinking, okay, Heatran as a very good Pokemon, it could set up rocks. It's a steel type, it's a fire type, which is rare in DPP to get a good fire type. You know what? I think I'm going to take Heatran with the 5th pick. Right? So let's say we take Heatran. Okay, we took him round 1. All right, so let's go here. All right, let's see. We got Heatran. All right, and he's an OU. And we got our steel. Right, which is good. All right, we got a Stealth Rocker. Awesome. All right, let's see. Heatran can be a wall as well. All right, we look. He could be a phaser. He gets Roar Heatran's pretty good. I'm going to put him here. Okay, so Heatran's just clicked off a lot of boxes with 1 pick, which is awesome. All right, so we're gonna go down the line again. Okay, Heatran's gone. So we got 6, Gyarados 7, Meta 8, Rotom 9. All right, Gengar 10. All right, so here we go, round 2. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we go. We got Dragonite, Starmie, Zapdos, Swampert. See a lot of good water types. All right, so I'm kind of looking here going, okay, what's going to help my Heatran? All right, right now, water types, ground types, big problem. what's a good way to combat that? I'm looking at Zapdos right here and going, okay, he's going to deal with the water types pretty well. He's immune to ground, and it's a really strong special attacker that also has U-turn to help me get my Heatran in. I kind of like that pick. You know, that gives me 2 really good special attackers. All right, let's go with Zapdos. You know, and it also checks off the electric type, which is super nice. All right, we get our flying type, which is awesome. Go ahead and put him in here. And I like to consider Zapdos a physical wall, especially when you invest in it. All right, and we'll put him in here. All right, so we're looking good. We're looking good so far. You can also count Zap as a setup sweeper if you wanted to with agility, but it's not quite what I'm envisioning here. All right, so we took Zapdos, and now we're gonna come back up, right? We got D-Knight, Starmie, Swampert, Empo. Now here we go again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we're looking down here, all right? We got Magnezone, Lucario, Fernie, Champ. Right, we got a lot of fighting types here. Now, kind of looking at the team, it's like, okay. You know, we're in an interesting spot, right? We got Zapdos, he's weak to rocks. We could take a spinner here. But Starmie's gone. Fortress is an option, but we got a steel type. You know, right now I'm thinking I don't have a switch into a water type, but it's not an immediate necessity. You know what I'm saying? It's okay. We have plenty of picks to address that, you know? And looking at what's immediately available, none of these are really screaming, I got to take this right now, or I'm not going to get it. Right, we're going down. It's like, you know, Milotic is a pretty good one. You know, Kingdra is more of an offensive Pokemon. Kingdra's not a bad option. You know, I'm not the biggest fan of it personally, but, you know, there's certainly an option. You could take Lucario here. Right? Lucario's good, gives you a second steel type, gives you a setup sweeper. But it's not quite what I'm looking for. Machamp is an option, a strong lead. And we could go Donphan. We can look at the lower tiers. All right, so we're gonna switch over to Showdown, right? And we're gonna look at some of the low tiers. Let's see. We got a guy like Shaman. Shaman kind of helps here. If you think about it, it resists water. Right? It's not Stealth Rock weak, which is good. It kind of makes our ice weakness a little bit more pronounced, but again, we have plenty of Pokemon to help with that. Again, maybe we look at like a Tentacruel. Tentacruel's Pokemon that's got Rapid Spin, resists water. It's another ground weakness, but it's a grounded poison type that also can offer Toxic Spikes, which is pretty nice. That's a lot of really good utility. Now, am I planning on taking Tentacruel in the 3rd round? I'm debating it. You know, that's a lot of utility. Knockoff, Haze, like he could do a lot of things. You know, and if I'm feeling crazy, I might just do it if I feel like my opponent's teams are looking like they might be fiending for Tentacruel. Maybe you pull the trigger here. But again, you kind of have to look at what your team is like, you know, and it's like, do I really want one of these Pokemon right now? And looking at my team, I don't particularly see the need, you know, so I think for the purpose of the video, we're going to go with Tentacruel, which gives us a water resist, and it allows us to kind of have our lower tiers start to take shape, which is nice. You know, that way, once you go into the lower tiers, you can really start to kind of realize, like, okay, you know, what do I need now? You know, what are these guys? What do they do? You know, what do they do for their profession? Let's fix that. There we go. Let's get Tentacruel in here. All right, we got our guy here. Got Tentacruel. We got another Phaser, which is awesome. We got another Tentacruel. Cool. And Tentacruel is a pretty good special wall too. You know, it's got that high special defense stat. You know, he's it's not a bad option. So, and then, you know, we could continue going down, right? You can, you know, you take your grass type, you take your ground type, you know. But again, that's a lot of boxes with 3 Pokemon. And that gives you a lot of flexibility. Then you could go for, it's like, okay, you know, maybe I have 5 Pokemon that check 90% of the boxes. okay, I'm in like round 6. Like, what funny thing can I do? You know, round 6. I'm looking at Yu and I go, you know what? I think my favorite Pokemon is, I don't know, who's a crazy guy that, Charizard, that's my favorite Pokemon. It's not, but you know what I'm saying. Like, hey, I got a good spinner. You know, it's like, I could have 2 fire types. Fire is really hard to switch into. You know, if you want to do it, sure, why not? Go nuts. You know, and you can kind of apply that, you know, anywhere down the line. But that's pretty much how I go about like my own draft prep. And then when draft night comes, you basically throw it out the window when your ideas fall apart immediately. So it's always important to have more concepts than exact Pokemon. You know, it's like maybe round 1. I go, okay, I know I have the 5th pick and I'm between like 2 guys. You know, and you can kind of pivot off of each one to know what you want. And if you're afraid someone's going to take your low tier that you really, really want and you're really banking on it, just bite the bullet, take it early. That way you have what you definitely want and you're confident in it. That goes a long way. I've seen Brian take NU Pokemon in the first round and do very well. That's because Brian's crazy. But we love him, so it's okay. But that's pretty much all I have to say about preparing for draft. So again, have a little bit of preparation, but like don't make your own team and just be like, okay, I'm ready. If I don't get all of these, I'll jump off a bridge. Like it's fine. Just pivot. Go with concepts rather than exact things. You'll go far. And you'll have a good time, and that's what matters. So that's it. If you're interested in catching up on all of SAPA PL, you can check out Brian's channel. He's been running it all solo since we've all been so busy. But PL was a good time. So if you're interested, check those out. And expect more DPP content in the future. We have our draft in about a month. And of course, pray for me as I fight Giratina to keep my soul and the soul of all of my friends. So until next time, have a good and stay cool because it's hot as fuck.